Most people will die without ever meeting the person they could have been. They will live and die in a state of quiet compromise. They will feel a persistent, low-grade ache, the gap between the life they are capable of living and the life they are currently accepting. This is the sound of potential unfulfilled. It is the background noise of a modern world that is engineered to produce compliance, comfort, and mediocrity. But you are not here by accident. You are listening to this because that ache has become a noise you can no longer ignore. You are here because the comfort has become suffocating and the compromise has become unacceptable. You are here because you have tasted the bitter reality of your own self-imposed limitations and you have finally decided to reject them. This audiobook is not a collection of gentle suggestions. It is not a series of life hacks or positive affirmations designed to make you feel better about your current state. It is a contract. It is an agreement you are making with yourself right now. It is a declaration that your old life, the life of reaction, of doubt, of hesitation, is over. It is an acknowledgement that the person you have been is not the person you are destined to be. This is a covenant to begin the deliberate and often brutal process of deconstruction and rebuilding. The purpose of this journey is singular: to build the unstoppable mind. What is this? It is not a mind that is free of fear. It is not a mind that is free of pain or failure or doubt. Those are human conditions. To be unstoppable does not mean to be inhuman. The unstoppable mind is a mind that cannot be turned against itself. It is a mind that has been forged into a perfect instrument of its owner's will. It is a mind where your actions, your thoughts, and your deepest purpose are in absolute, unbreakable alignment. The unstoppable individual is not the one who never gets knocked down. They are the one whose reason for getting back up is more powerful than the force that knocked them down. They are the one who has cultivated such a profound sense of internal control that the chaos of the external world, the opinions of others, the unexpected failures, the relentless assault of distractions is rendered irrelevant. This is not our default state. We live in a world that actively wages war against this state of being. We are born into a glass prison. We are conditioned from our first breath to seek the path of least resistance. We are trained to value comfort over progress, safety over growth, and external validation over internal certainty. Your attention is fractured by 1,000 trivialities. Your resolve is softened by a culture that prioritizes feeling good over being good. Your mind, which should be a fortress, has been left with the gates wide open, allowing any passing fear or distracting impulse to wander in and claim the throne. We are told that our thoughts and feelings are uncontrollable. We are taught to be passive observers of our own emotional weather, to cope and manage the storms as they come. We are told that we are our emotions, that anxiety or anger or apathy are core components of our identity. This is the greatest lie ever told. It is the lie that keeps you trapped. It is the lie that keeps you scrolling when you should be working. It is the lie that keeps you silent when you should be speaking. It is the lie that makes you hit the snooze button on your life, promising yourself that you will start tomorrow. The unstoppable mind is built on the rejection of this lie. It is founded on one single revolutionary truth. You are the architect. You are not the thoughts that float through your awareness. You are not the emotions that pulse through your body. You are the observer of these things. And because you are the observer, you have the power to be the master. This journey is the manual for that mastery. It is a process of reclaiming your agency, one piece at a time. It is a curriculum for your own liberation. In the chapters to come, we will conduct a full-scale diagnosis. We will begin by walking the perimeter of your own glass prison. We will shine a harsh light on the invisible walls that have confined you, the habits, the beliefs, and the socially conditioned fears that you have mistaken for your own personality. You will see, with painful clarity, how you have been stopping yourself. Then we will confront the architect of your defeat. We will meet the inner saboteur, that voice of doubt, mediocrity, and fear that has whispered in your ear for your entire life. You will learn its tactics, you will understand its origins, and you will systematically strip it of its power, not by fighting it, but by exposing it as the primitive, predictable mechanism that it is. Once you have seen the prison and met the jailer, you will be brought to a moment of irreversible decision. This is where you will cross your own personal Rubicon. You will make a vow, not a wish, but a committed decision to abandon your old self. This is the moment you burn the ships. There will be no retreat. From there, the real war begins. The war within. This is the daily battle between your highest intentions and your lowest impulses. And in this war, you will be given your primary weapon, proactive discipline. We will redefine discipline not as a punishment, but as the ultimate act of self-respect. It is the tool that forges resolve. We will enter the forge itself. You will learn to use difficulty as the raw material for resilience. We will abandon the pursuit of an easy life and instead actively seek voluntary hardship. You will learn that the mind, like a muscle, only grows when placed under resistance. You will learn to stop running from the things that are hard and start running towards them because you know that is where strength is found. Having built this foundation, we will move to the alchemy of perspective. You will learn the art of frame control. This is the power to interpret the world as you choose, not as you have been conditioned to. Failure will be transmuted into feedback. Insults will become information. Obstacles will become the very path itself. You will neutralize the power of the external world to dictate your internal state. You will then build a fortress of focus. In an age of mass distraction, the ability to concentrate is a superpower. You will learn to defend your attention as you would defend your life. You will cultivate the profound, deep concentration required to do meaningful work and live a meaningful life, making you immune to the trivialities that consume the average mind. Following this, you will become the master of the storm. You will learn to command your emotions, not be commanded by them. We will move beyond suppression and into observation. You will cultivate the eye of the storm, an internal state of unshakable calm, a place of clarity from which you can act with precision while the rest of the world reacts in panic. Finally, we will find your northern star. An unstoppable mind requires an unstoppable why. Resilience without direction is just stubbornness. We will guide you to define a mission, a purpose so profound and so non-negotiable that it pulls you through pain, boredom, and chaos. This purpose will become the ordering principle of your entire existence. This is the transformation we are embarking on. It will not be easy. This process will demand that you leave parts of yourself behind. It will require you to confront the aspects of your character you would rather ignore. It will demand that you choose the difficult right over the easy wrong, time and time again. Many people will start this journey. Most will not finish. The moment the work becomes difficult, they will retreat to the familiar comfort of their old selves. But you will not. You will not because you understand the cost of remaining the same. You know deep down that the pain of discipline is nothing compared to the pain of regret. The unspoken contract is now on the table. The terms are clear. In exchange for your total commitment, you will be given the tools to dismantle the person you have been and build the person you were always meant to be. The price is your weakness. The reward is your freedom. If you are ready to pay that price, if you are truly ready to stop being a victim of your own mind and start being its master, then accept the contract. The work begins now. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Glass Prison. Have you ever had the feeling that the life you are living is not entirely your own? It is a quiet, disorienting sensation. It is the sense that you are an actor reading from a script you did not write, moving through a world built by someone else. You make choices, but the options feel limited. You have ambitions, but they feel contained. You are moving, but you are not advancing. This is not an illusion. This is the first moment of genuine awareness. This is the moment you finally perceive the walls of your confinement. We are not born into the world. We are born into a prison. This is not a prison of steel or stone. It is a structure of invisible beliefs, unspoken rules, and socially conditioned assumptions. It is a glass prison. It is transparent, so you mistake its boundaries for the horizon. It is silent, so you mistake its rules for your own inner voice. Its walls are built from the most common materials on earth: comfort, fear, and the expectations of others. Before you can ever dream of becoming unstoppable, you must first understand, with excruciating clarity, how and where you are stopped. You cannot dismantle a structure you cannot see. This chapter is the diagnosis. This is the act of pressing your hands against the invisible barriers until at last you can trace their edges. The first wall, the thickest and most seductive, is the tyranny of comfort. We are biologically wired to seek ease. Our ancestors survived by conserving energy, avoiding risk, and finding reliable sources of comfort. This mechanism, designed for a world of physical scarcity, has become a catastrophic liability in a world of mental and emotional abundance. Your prison cell is padded with it. The modern world is a monument to its worship. It is the instant gratification, the endless entertainment, the frictionless delivery of food and distraction. It is the fundamental promise that you should never have to feel bored or lonely or frustrated or strained for more than a few seconds. And in this pursuit of eliminating all friction, we have systematically eliminated all traction. Growth does not happen in a state of comfort. It cannot. The human mind, like the human body, does not strengthen when it is at rest. It strengthens only when it is placed under load, when it is forced to adapt to a stressor that it has not yet mastered. The comfort you seek is a narcotic. It dulls the ache of unfulfilled potential. It makes the confines of your cell bearable. The more you consume, the less you feel the bars, but the more solid they become. This wall is built every time you choose the familiar over the challenging. It is the job you dislike but will not leave because it is safe. It is the relationship that has expired but which you will not end because it is comfortable. It is the alarm you silence, the workout you postpone, the difficult conversation you avoid. Each of these choices is a vote. You are casting a ballot for your own limitation. You are reinforcing the wall. The unstoppable mind understands a truth that the average mind cannot comprehend. Discomfort is not a threat, it is a signal. It is an arrow pointing directly to the next area of necessary growth. When the unstoppable individual feels the pull of comfort, they recognize it for what it is: a lure, a trap, a siren song luring their ambition onto the rocks. They have learned to associate the feeling of ease with stagnation. They have rewired their brain to find satisfaction not in the absence of challenge, but in the overcoming of it. While the average person is building a life designed to avoid all difficulty, the unstoppable person is building a self that is designed to handle it. Look at your life. Where has the pursuit of comfort made you weak? Where has good enough become the enemy of great? Where are you trading your potential for the temporary relief of not trying? This is the first wall. It is the one you must learn to lean against, to push against, and to eventually step through by deliberately and consistently choosing the difficult path. The second wall of your prison is the social blueprint. From the moment you are born, you are handed a map. This map is not your map. It is a composite drawn by the hands of your parents, your teachers, your culture, and your society. It is the collective agreement on what constitutes a good, successful, or acceptable life. Go to this school, get this degree, pursue this career, find this type of partner, buy this type, post this image, achieve these milestones by this age. It is a blueprint for a predictable life, and for many, it is the only one they will ever see. This wall is so transparent because you mistake it for your ambition. You climb the ladder, you check the boxes, and you collect the achievements, but you are met with a hollow victory. You have succeeded by someone else's definition, and in the process, you have failed by your own. This wall is held in place by a single powerful mortar: the fear of judgment, the fear of being different, the fear of being misunderstood, ridiculed, or ostracized. It is the primal human need to belong, weaponized against your own individuality. We are social creatures, and this need for inclusion is deep, but the glass prison uses this need to keep you in line. You moderate your true opinions. You silence your unconventional ideas. You dress not as you wish, but as is expected. You pursue a career in law because it sounds impressive, while your passion to be a carpenter is starved in a dark corner of your mind. You are performing your life for an audience that is, for the most part, too busy performing their life to even notice yours. The unstoppable mind has drawn a hard line between validation and truth. It has made a clear distinction between fitting in and belonging. To fit in is to contort yourself, to shave off your edges, to become a generic shape that can slide into any available slot. It is an act of self-mutilation. To belong is to find the few who see and celebrate you for the unique and perhaps jagged shape that you are. And if you cannot find them, the unstoppable mind is willing to stand alone. It is willing to be its own first and last witness. It has replaced the desire for external approval with the necessity of internal respect. This is a terrifying prospect. To step outside the blueprint is to walk into the wilderness without a map. It is to accept that you may be judged. It is to accept that you will unequivocally make people uncomfortable. Your family may not understand. Your friends may feel threatened by your change. This is the price of authenticity, and the prisoner will always deem it too high to pay. The free mind knows it is the only price worth paying. Look at the map you are following. Is it yours, or was it handed to you? Are the destinations you are running toward your destinations, or are they just the next safe stop on a train line you never consciously chose to board? The third wall of the prison is the ghost of past failures. As you move through life, you leave a trail. That trail is littered with your attempts, your mistakes, your embarrassments, and your failures. For the average person, this trail is not a record of lessons. It is a minefield. And so, we build a wall from our own history. This wall is made of scar tissue. Because you failed at a business 10 years ago, you now carry the identity of someone who is not an entrepreneur. Because you were rejected in a relationship, you now carry the belief that you are unworthy of love. Because you were embarrassed giving a speech in high school, you now define yourself as not a public speaker. You have taken a single event, a data point, and extrapolated it into a permanent identity. You have allowed a moment of failure to become a life sentence. The glass prison uses your own memory against you. It creates no-go zones. It cordons off entire territories of your potential, labeling them too dangerous because you once stumbled there. You begin to shrink your world, to make it smaller and smaller to ensure you never have to feel that specific pain of failure again. You are being haunted, not by what happened, but by your interpretation of what happened. You have confused an event with a prophecy. The unstoppable mind does not do this. It does not erase the past, but it refuses to be imprisoned by it. It sees failure for what it is, feedback. It is a data point and nothing more. It is not an identity. It is not a verdict. It is simply the result of a specific action, taken under specific circumstances. The unstoppable mind is a master of the autopsy. When they fail, they do not run from the scene. They walk toward it. They take out a scalpel. They ask, what exactly went wrong here? What was the flaw in the process? What was the flaw in the assumption? What is the 1% variable I can change for the next attempt? They depersonalize failure. They strip it of its emotional charge. They see it as a necessary, unavoidable, and valuable part of the process of succeeding. They are not afraid of creating a trail of failures because they see it as a trail of data. They know that the person who has failed 100 times is infinitely more qualified, more dangerous, and more prepared than the person who has never tried. Your past is not a life sentence. It is a library. You are not meant to live in it. You are meant to use it. You are meant to check out the books, learn the lessons, and then walk back out into the present to apply them. This wall, made of your own ghosts, is the most illusory of all. It is built entirely of memory, and it can be torn down in the instant you decide to stop treating your history as a verdict and start treating it as a textbook. These are the walls, the tyranny of comfort, the social blueprint, and the ghost of past failures. They are reinforced by 1,000 other smaller beliefs. The belief that you are not smart enough, the belief that you don't have enough time, the belief that the world is unfair, the belief that other people have something you don't. All of these are the bars of your cell. And here is the final, agonizing truth, the dilemma of the prisoner. There is no guard. There is no external force keeping you in this prison. The door is not locked. In fact, there is no door. You are free to leave at any moment. You are the prisoner, you are the warden, and you are the architect of the entire facility. You stay inside not because you are trapped, but because you are afraid of the unstructured chaos of freedom. The prison, for all its limitations, is predictable. It is known. You know the rules. You know the routine. You know exactly what to expect. To be unstoppable is to accept the terrifying responsibility of total freedom. It is to step out of the prison and into an open field with no map, no blueprint, and no guarantee of comfort. It is to choose to be the sole and final authority on your own life. The diagnosis is complete. You are now standing in your cell and you have seen the walls. You can no longer claim ignorance. You can no longer pretend that you are a victim of circumstance. You see the glass. You see the transparent barriers that have dictated your every move. You see how they were built, and you see who built them. The first step to freedom is not to break the walls. The first step is to simply see them. The question now is not, can I escape? The question is, will I? Chapter 2. The Architect of Your Defeat. Who is it that tells you that you are not good enough? Who whispers, it's too late, you're too tired, you'll fail anyway? Who is that voice that holds you back, that injects a subtle poison of doubt into your moments of greatest ambition? You know this voice. It is more intimate with you than any lover. It knows your deepest fears, your most embarrassing failures, and your most secret insecurities. It speaks to you with the absolute, unquestioned authority of your own thoughts. And so you believe it. You assume this voice is you. This is the most dangerous deception. The voice you mistake for your own identity, the one you assume is trying to protect you or be realistic, is, in fact, the single greatest obstacle to your progress. It is the inner saboteur. It is the architect of your defeat. This chapter is a confrontation. We are not just going to observe this entity. We are going to unmask it. We are going to dissect its motives, its tactics, and its origins. Because once you truly understand this mechanism, its power over you dissolves. You cannot be manipulated by a machine once you see its gears. The first thing you must understand is that this voice is not your enemy. It is the obsolete remnant of your ancestors' survival code. This is the primitive, reptilian part of your brain. Its only job for millions of years was to keep you alive. It did not care if you were happy, fulfilled, or ambitious. It cared only about three things: avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, and conserving energy. This saboteur is not a demon. It is a deeply stupid, terrified security guard operating from an ancient manual. In the prehistoric wilderness, this voice was your greatest ally. When you thought about exploring a new, dark cave, it screamed, "Danger! Don't! You might die." When you thought about confronting a larger tribe member, it whispered, "Don't risk it. Keep your head down. Stay safe." When you were full and had a chance to rest, it said, "Stop. Don't move. Conserve every calorie." And because it was successful, you are alive. Your ancestors, the ones who listened, survived, and passed on this genetic code. But in the modern world, this same voice is your primary antagonist. You are no longer in physical danger. Your survival is, for the most part, guaranteed. You now live in a world that demands a new set of instructions. It demands you take risks, not avoid them. It demands you speak up, not stay silent. It demands you expend energy on purpose, not conserve it. The security guard, however, was never given the new manual. And so, when you think about starting a new business, the voice screams, "Danger! Don't! You might fail! You'll be ruined!" This is the same script it ran for the dark cave. When you think about walking up to an influential person and introducing yourself, it whispers, "Don't risk it. You'll be rejected. You'll look foolish." This is the same script it ran for the tribal conflict. When you sit down to do the difficult, focused work that your future depends on, it distracts you. "Stop. This is hard. Check your email. Look at your phone. Conserve energy." This is the same script it ran for the post-meal lethargy. This is the great internal conflict. Your higher brain, your conscious self, is trying to evolve, to grow, to build. Your primitive brain is trying to keep you safe in a world that no longer exists. The architect of your defeat is just a malfunctioning bodyguard, mistaking your ambition for a saber-toothed tiger. Its tactics are predictable. Once you see them, they become almost laughably transparent. Its primary weapon is fear, disguised as logic. The voice does not just say, "I'm scared." That would be too easy to dismiss. Instead, it builds a flawless, logical, and deeply compelling case for your inaction. It sounds rational. It sounds intelligent. It sounds like prudence. You decide to start that difficult workout regimen. The voice doesn't say, "I'm lazy." It says, "You've had a really stressful week. You don't want to overdo it. You might injure yourself. And then where would you be? It's much smarter to just rest today and start fresh on Monday." Yes, that's the responsible choice. You prepare to have that difficult, necessary conversation. The voice doesn't say, "I'm a coward." It says, "The timing isn't right. They seem stressed today. It won't be productive. It's better to wait until they are in a better mood. It will be a more constructive dialogue." That's the strategic move. It is the master of justification. It will always provide you with a perfectly reasonable-sounding excuse to take the path of least resistance. It wraps its primitive fear in a sophisticated costume of logic and reason. This is why you fall for it time and time again. You believe you are making an intelligent decision, when in fact you are obeying a terrified, ancient impulse. Its second tactic is catastrophizing the future. The saboteur lives in a permanent state of worst-case scenario. It is a failed novelist writing endless fiction about your potential ruin. It takes a small, potential risk and inflates it into an absolute, life-ending catastrophe. You think about asking for a raise. Your conscious mind sees it as a 10-minute conversation. The saboteur sees a cinematic disaster. It plays a film for you. You will walk in, you will stammer, your boss will laugh, they will be insulted by your audacity. They will begin to hate you. They will fire you. You will lose your home. You will be destitute. You will die alone. It is an absurd, dramatic, and utterly unrealistic chain of events. But when it plays in your head, it feels real. The saboteur uses the power of your own imagination against you, creating an emotional feeling of dread that is so powerful you choose to avoid the initial simple action altogether. It makes the thought of the action more painful than the reality of your current dissatisfactory state. Its third and most insidious tactic is weaponizing your past identity. This voice is your personal historian. It keeps a perfect, itemized list of every failure, every mistake, and every embarrassment you have ever experienced. And it uses this list as evidence for why you are not allowed to change. The moment you decide to become disciplined, it pulls up the file from 5 years ago. Remember that time you joined a gym and quit after 3 weeks? Remember? You're not a disciplined person. You're a quitter. Who do you think you're fooling? The moment you decide to be more confident, it plays the tape of your high school failure. You? Confident? You're the same person who couldn't even talk to that person at the party. You're an imposter. Just stay quiet. It's safer. It anchors you to your oldest self. It creates a powerful, magnetic pull back to the person you used to be, because that person is known. That person is predictable. That person survived. This imposter syndrome is the saboteur's masterpiece. It is the feeling that your new, better self is a fraud and that your old, weaker self is the real you. It creates an intense cognitive dissonance, a feeling of being a lie that is so uncomfortable, most people crumble. They retreat back to their old identity, not because it was good, but because it felt consistent. The saboteur would rather you be a consistent failure than an inconsistent success. Consistency, even in misery, is safe. So how do you defeat this architect? You do not fight it. You cannot. To fight it is to fight your own internal biology. To argue with it is to become ensnared in its twisted logic. The moment you engage it in a debate, you have already lost. You are giving it credibility. You are treating it as an equal. You do not fight it. You do not argue with it. You disidentify from it. You must cultivate the one thing that separates you from this ancient machine, your higher consciousness. You must become the observer. This is the practice. The moment you hear the voice, the moment you feel that familiar pull of doubt, fear, or rationalization, you do not obey it. You do not fight it. You notice it. You step back and you put a name to it. You say internally, "Ah, there it is. That is the survival mechanism. That is the old fear circuit firing off again. How predictable." You treat it not as a commander, but as a check engine light on a faulty dashboard. It is data. It is not a directive. When it screams, "Don't start this project, you'll fail," you observe it. You label it. This is the fear of failure script. And then you do it anyway. When it whispers, "Just quit. This is too hard. Go watch television," you observe it. You label it. This is the energy conservation script. And then you do it anyway. When it attacks you, "You're an imposter. You can't do this." You observe it. You label it. This is the past identity script. And then you do it anyway. You do not need to silence the voice. You do not need to make the fear go away. The unstoppable mind is not a mind that is free of fear. It is a mind that acts in the presence of fear. It is a mind that has learned to treat the saboteur's voice as irrelevant background noise. You are building a new voice, the voice of your conscious, chosen intention, the voice of your discipline. At first, this voice is a whisper. The saboteur's voice is a roar. But every time you observe the fear script and take the action anyway, you are starving the saboteur of its power and feeding the voice of your will. You are rewiring your own brain. You are, in real time, building a new neurological pathway, a new default. The saboteur will never truly go away. It is part of your hardware. But it can be managed. It can be demoted from architect of your defeat to, at best, a paranoid and irrelevant backseat driver. The real you is not the voice that screams in panic. The real you is the one who hears it. You are the observer. You are the one who chooses. The greatest power you possess is not the ability to control your circumstances, but the ability to separate yourself from your thoughts. That is the beginning of internal mastery. That is the moment you take the blueprints for your life out of the hands of a panicked security guard and place them firmly into your own. Chapter 3. Crossing the Rubicon. How many times have you decided to change? You decided on New Year's Day. You decided after a moment of painful failure. You decided on a Sunday night, filled with inspiration, promising yourself that this week would be the one. And how many times did that decision evaporate by Tuesday? How many times did it melt away at the first sign of friction, the first temptation, the first wave of fatigue? These were not decisions. They were wishes. They were weak emotional preferences. They were a hope that your life would change, not a command that it must. A true decision is something else entirely. It is not a preference. It is an execution. It is the act of a judge passing a final sentence. It is the sound of a gavel, not a suggestion. It is a line drawn in the concrete of your own mind, a declaration that one thing has ended and another has begun. This is the moment of your own personal Rubicon. This is a boundary line in your own history. On one side lies your old life, the life of the glass prison, the life where the architect of your defeat held the blueprints. It is the life of reaction, of hesitation, of being a passenger in your own existence. On the other side lies the unknown. It lies the work. It lies the person you could be. The vast majority of people will live their entire lives on the safe side of that river. They will stand at the bank for decades, dipping their toes in. They will try to change. They will think about changing. They will work on changing. To try is the ultimate escape clause. It is the saboteur's favorite word. I will try is a pre-written permission slip to fail. It is a statement that you hope you succeed, but you fully expect to fail. It is an insurance policy for your own ego, so that when you quit, you can say, "Well, I tried." The unstoppable mind does not try. It commits. Commitment is not a feeling. It is a mechanism. It is a cold, logical, and profound act of severance. To decide comes from the Latin root caudere, to cut. When you make a true decision, you are cutting off all other possibilities. You are cutting away your old self. You are cutting the ropes to the past. This chapter is not an exploration. It is a challenge. You are standing at the riverbank right now. You have seen your prison. You have met your saboteur. You cannot unknow what you now know. Your ignorance is gone, and you are left with only one terrifying, liberating choice. You cannot try. You must decide. This decision is the declaration of war on your own weakness. It is the vow that you will no longer be the architect of your own defeat. You will be the architect of your victory. So what does this look like? How do you make this decision binding? First, you must make retreat impossible. This is the principle of burning the ships. An army that lands on a hostile shore with its ships intact always has the option of retreat. And because that option exists, in the moment of greatest friction, in the heat of the battle, that option will be taken. The mind will fracture. The will break. The commander who burns the ships upon arrival is not being brave. They are being strategic. They have, in a single irreversible action, eliminated the option of failure. The army now has only two choices: victory or death. This is how you must treat your vow. You must make retreat more painful, more catastrophic than advancing. How? You must create consequences. Your saboteur is terrified of pain, remember? You must use this. You must make the pain of staying the same greater than the pain of changing. You must leverage accountability. Tell someone, but do not tell a friend who will coddle you. Do not tell a loved one who will say, "It's okay, you tried your best." Tell a rival. Tell a mentor you respect. Make a public proclamation tied to your professional reputation. Invest money. Real money. Money that it would hurt to lose. Sign up for the program, the coach, the commitment that has a non-refundable deposit. Put your resources on the line. Create an automatic punishment. Write a check to an organization you despise and give it to a trusted friend with one instruction. If I fail to do X, you mail this check. This may sound extreme. It is meant to be. You are fighting for your life. You are fighting a primitive, powerful force inside you that wants you to stay weak and comfortable. You cannot win this war with gentle suggestions. You win it by creating a strategic environment where your own success is the only logical path forward. You must burn the ships. You must destroy the escape routes. You must make the path back to your old life a path of such profound shame, cost, and pain that your mind, in its terror, has no choice but to lunge forward. Second, after you have made retreat impossible, you must change your identity, not your actions. This is the key. Most people fail because they try to behave their way to a new life. They say, "I am a person who is trying to be disciplined." This is a recipe for failure. It reinforces the idea that your true self is the undisciplined one, and this new behavior is a temporary, exhausting performance. The imposter syndrome we spoke of is the natural result. The unstoppable mind does not do this. The moment they cross the Rubicon, they do not change their actions, they change their identity. You are not a person who is trying to quit smoking. You are, as of this moment, a non-smoker. A non-smoker doesn't debate whether or not to have a cigarette. The option simply doesn't exist. It is a non-action. You are not a person who is trying to be disciplined. You are a disciplined person. And when the alarm rings at 5 a.m., a disciplined person gets up. It is not a debate. It is not a question of how I feel. It is simply what is done. It is an expression of identity. This is not fake it till you make it. This is a declaration of who you are now. You must, in this moment of decision, decide who you are. Define it. Write it down. Who is the person who is mentally unstoppable? What do they do? How do they think? How do they speak? How do they handle adversity? You are not aspiring to be this person, you are becoming this person, and you are leaving the old one behind. This is a funeral. You must be willing to grieve your old self. You must be willing to let go of the comforts, the excuses, and the familiar pains of the person you used to be. You are killing a part of yourself, the weakest part, and you must be willing to pull the trigger. This decision, this severing, is the real work. The actions that follow, the waking up early, the difficult conversations, the focused work, are not the work. They are merely the evidence of the decision you have already made. This is why the unstoppable are not in a constant state of struggle. They are not in a daily war of motivation. Motivation is a fickle emotional state. It comes and goes. It is worthless as a foundation. The unstoppable are not motivated. They are committed. Their life is not built on the shifting sands of how they feel. It is built on the bedrock of the vow they made. The decision is cold. It is final. It is logical. It is made in a moment of absolute, piercing clarity. And it is made once. From that moment on, you are no longer debating. You are no longer trying. You are executing on a command that has already been given. So here it is, the river. Behind you is everything you know. The comfort, the predictability, the validation, the sweet, dull ache of your potential rotting inside you. The glass prison. The saboteur who, at least, feels familiar. In front of you is everything you want, and it is guarded by everything you fear. It is guarded by difficulty, by judgment, by pain, by the unknown. For years, you have been standing at this bank. Now you must make the choice. This is not a metaphor. This is an invitation to act. Right now, in this moment, you must make the vow. You must decide who you are. You must choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. You must sentence your old self to death. You do not need to feel a surge of passion. You do not need a sign from the heavens. You need only the cold, hard, reptilian certainty that the way you have been living is no longer acceptable. This is the moment. This is the last time you will ever be the person you were. Cross the river. The ships are burning behind you. There is no way back. Chapter 4. The War Within You. You have made the decision. You have crossed the line. The vow is sealed in the cold logic of your new identity. And for a day, perhaps a week, the world feels new. The momentum of this single powerful choice carries you forward. Your actions are sharp. Your mind is clear. And then it happens. The alarm rings. It is 5 a.m. It is dark. It is cold. And the feeling of commitment is gone. The person who made that vow is nowhere to be found. In their place is a tired, weak, and deeply rationalizing creature. The saboteur, who was silent, returns with a vengeance. Just 10 more minutes, it whispers. You've been working so hard. You deserve a break. One day won't matter. Welcome to the real war. The decision you made was a single glorious battle. It was the declaration. But this is the campaign. This is the long, grinding, unglamorous war of attrition that will last the rest of your life. This is the war within. The battlefield is not the boardroom or the gym or the public stage. The battlefield is the 18 inches between your ears. The fight is not against the world. It is against you. Or, more precisely, it is a civil war between the two conflicting versions of yourself. On one side, there is your intention. This is the commander. This is your higher self, the part of you that can see the future, that understands purpose, and that made the vow. It is logical, far-sighted, and aligned with your deepest identity. On the other side, there is your impulse. This is the saboteur. This is your primitive programming, the creature of comfort, the part of you that lives only in the present moment. It is a creature of pure, mindless appetite. It wants ease, it wants pleasure, and it wants it now. It feels emotions, it feels fatigue, it feels fear. These two forces are locked in a perpetual struggle for control of your body. Every single moment of your life is a skirmish. The choice to get out of bed, the choice to pick up the phone and make the difficult call, or check social media instead, the choice to eat the food that fuels you or the food that numbs you, the choice to speak the hard truth or to tell the easy, comforting lie. This is the war. It is not fought in explosions. It is fought in these small, silent, non-cinematic moments. And it is in these moments that the unstoppable mind is built. The average person believes this war is won with motivation. They are waiting for the feeling to strike. They wait to feel like working out. They wait to feel inspired to write. They wait to feel courageous. And so they wait forever. Motivation is an emotion. It is a chemical cocktail. It is a weather pattern. It is the most unreliable, fickle, and useless foundation upon which to build a life. It is a luxury. And on the battlefield, it is the first casualty. You will not feel motivated 90% of the time. The unstoppable mind knows this, and so they do not rely on motivation. They rely on their primary weapon. This weapon is not passion. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is the single most powerful and most misunderstood tool in the human arsenal: proactive discipline. We must redefine this word. Discipline is not punishment. It is not self-hatred. It is not a grim, joyless existence of denial. Discipline is the tool that separates intention from impulse. It is the mechanism that allows your higher self, your commander, to override the emotional, short-sighted demands of your primitive self. It is the bridge between the person you say you are and the actions you take. Discipline is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is the agreement that your long-term vision is more important than your short-term comfort. It is the system by which you honor the vow you made to yourself. The problem is, most people treat discipline as reactive. They try to find it in the moment of temptation. They try to use willpower when the cookie is already in their hand. At that point, it is too late. The primitive brain is already in control. The war is already lost. The unstoppable mind wields discipline proactively. They do not wait for the battle to begin. They set the terms of engagement. They rig the game in their own favor before the saboteur even wakes up. A proactive discipline is a system, not a feeling. The person who reacts says, "I hope I have the willpower to go to the gym tomorrow." The person who is proactive lays out their gym clothes, their shoes, and their water bottle the night before. They have created a system that makes the action require less thought. The person who reacts says, "I'm going to try to eat healthier," and they open a refrigerator full of junk food and are forced to fight a war of willpower at 8 p.m. The person who is proactive has already shopped, prepped their meals, and removed the junk food from their environment. They prevented the war from ever taking place. This is the first rule of the war within. Do not fight battles you do not have to. Use your intelligent conscience to design an environment, a schedule, and a system that makes your desired outcome the path of least resistance. But you cannot systematize everything. Eventually, you will be on the front lines. You will be tired, and the temptation will be there. This is the moment of truth. This is the skirmish that matters. The saboteur's greatest weapon in this moment is hesitation. The alarm rings. You have a gap, a single second. In that second, you can either act or you can think. If you act, if your feet hit the floor before the first thought forms, you have won. The commander is in control. If you think, if you lie there and ask, "How do I feel?" you have lost. You have given the saboteur an opening. You have invited it to speak, and it will. It will build its logical case. It will remind you of your fatigue. It will negotiate for 5 more minutes, and you will lose. This is the first-second rule. The war is won or lost in the first second of the decision point. Your intention must be tied to immediate physical action. The unstoppable mind does not debate its own commands. The alarm rings, the feet move. The decision was already made the night before. Today is not for debate. Today is for execution. You feel the resistance to make the call. You do not think about it. You do not plan to do it in a minute. You pick up the phone. You dial the number. You let the action precede the feeling. This is the antidote. The saboteur, the impulse, thrives in the swamp of hesitation and analysis. It dies in the clean, dry air of immediate action. You do not think your way into a new identity. You act your way into it. The feeling of discipline is not something you have before the act. It is the result of the act. The pride, the confidence, the internal integrity. That is the reward you get for winning the skirmish. The feeling comes after the victory, not before the battle. But what about the battles you lose? Because you will lose them. There will be days when the saboteur wins. Days when you hit the snooze button. Days when you eat the junk food. Days when you fail to act. This is the saboteur's second great tactic, the all-or-nothing trap. The moment you fail, the voice returns. See, it whispers with a satisfied, knowing tone. I told you, you're not a disciplined person. You're a fraud. You broke the chain. You're a failure. And since you've already failed, you might as well give up completely. Eat the rest of the pizza. Skip the rest of the week. It doesn't matter now. This is the downward spiral. This is how one lost skirmish turns into a rout. The unstoppable mind refuses to play this game. It understands that a single lost battle does not mean the war is over. It practices a different kind of discipline, the discipline of the immediate rebound. When you lose, the only thing that matters is your next action. You ate the junk food? So what? The war is not lost. The next choice is to drink a glass of water and eat a healthy meal. That is the rebound. You skipped the morning workout? The day is not a waste. The next choice is to go for a walk at lunch or to go to bed on time. That is the rebound. The average person believes in streaks. They are perfect for 10 days, and on day 11 they fail, and they are done for 10 months. The unstoppable person does not care about streaks. They care about trajectory. They care about the rebound rate. How fast can I get back on mission? How quickly can I, after being knocked down, get back to my feet and re-engage the enemy? That is the real measure of mental toughness, not your perfection, but your recovery. This is the war within. It is not glorious. It is not inspiring. It is the daily, grinding, and often boring work of choosing your intention over your impulse, over and over and over. It is won by proactive systems, not reactive willpower. It is won in the first second of decision, not in the 10th minute of debate. And it is won by the speed of your rebound, not by an imaginary unbroken chain of perfection. This is the craft of discipline. This is the source code of the unstoppable will. It is not a quality you are born with. It is a weapon you forge. And in the next chapter, we will walk into the forge itself. Chapter 5, Forging the Unbreakable. What is your first instinctive reaction to the word hard? Be honest. When you are faced with a task, a path, or a reality that is hard, what is the immediate physical sensation? For most, it is a flinch. It is an internal recoil. It is a feeling of aversion, of fatigue, of injustice. We have been trained from our first breath to believe that a good life is an easy one. We have been sold a cultural fantasy that the true path to happiness is the path of least resistance. We optimize our lives for frictionless comfort. We seek shortcuts, hacks, and efficiencies, all in the service of one singular goal: to avoid the sensation of strain. This pursuit is not making us happy. It is making us weak. It has produced a generation of soft minds living in soft bodies, terrified of the slightest friction. We are brittle. We are fragile. The smallest unexpected challenge, a critical comment, a moment of boredom, a difficult project, is enough to send us into a spiral of distraction, complaint, and defeat. This is the great paradox in our obsessive quest to avoid all difficulty. We have rendered ourselves incapable of handling difficulty. And because life, by its very nature, is difficult, we are left perpetually anxious and utterly unprepared. The unstoppable mind is not built on this foundation. It is built on the opposite. It is built on the deliberate, systematic, and joyful pursuit of the difficult. This chapter is the forge. A piece of raw iron is not a weapon. It is soft. It is useless. It can be bent and broken by any passing force. To become a blade, it must be subjected to two things: intense, unbearable heat and repeated, violent pressure. It must be plunged into the fire, pulled out, beaten with a hammer, and plunged back in, over and over. This is not a punishment. This is a process. This is transformation. The fire and the hammer are not destroying the iron, they are revealing the blade that was hidden within it. Your mind is that raw iron, and your life, until this point, has been an attempt to keep it far away from the fire. You must stop. You must understand that the hardness you have been running from is the only ingredient that can create the strength you seek. Resilience is not found. It is not a gift. It is not an abstract quality. Resilience is forged. How? The mechanism is simple. It is the same one that builds muscle in the body. A muscle that is never stressed, that is kept in a state of comfort, atrophies. To make it grow, you must introduce resistance. You must lift a weight that is heavier than what it is used to. You must literally damage the muscle fibers, creating micro tears, so that the body, in its wisdom, is forced to adapt. It repairs the muscle, not just to its original state, but stronger than before, to be better prepared for the next time it faces that same resistance. This is the law of adaptation. This is resistance training. Your mind, your will, your character, they all operate under this exact same law. Your capacity for discipline, your focus, your courage, these are not fixed traits. They are muscles. And right now, they have atrophied. To build them, you must stop running from difficulty and start scheduling it. You must, deliberately and with intention, begin a program of voluntary discomfort. This is the core practice of the Forge. You must, on a daily basis, choose to do things that your primitive, comfort-seeking self hates. Why? Because this is the only way to recalibrate your internal system. Your mind has a baseline for what it considers unbearable. For the soft mind, this baseline is laughably low. A moment of hunger is unbearable. A cold morning is unbearable. An awkward silence is unbearable. The saboteur screams, and you obey because you believe this feeling will break you. Voluntary discomfort is how you prove that voice is a liar. You do this by introducing small, controlled doses of hardship. You are not waiting for a crisis. You are creating a training simulation. You can start with the physical because it is the most direct laboratory for the will. When your alarm rings and your entire being screams to stay in the warm bed, you get up. You get up immediately. This is not a workout. This is your first rep. You are training the muscle of acting when you don't feel like it. You are winning your first deliberate victory over your own weakness before the sun is even up. You get in the shower. You turn the handle not to warm, but to cold. You stand under the freezing water for 60 seconds. Your body panics. Your primitive brain screams, "Get out! This is pain! This is danger!" And you stand there. You breathe. You calm your mind inside the storm. You are teaching your body on a cellular level that you are in charge, that your intention is stronger than its impulse. You are not dying. You are being forged. You engage in intermittent fasting. You skip a meal. You willingly allow yourself to feel the sensation of hunger. That sensation your brain has been trained to see as an emergency. And in that hunger, you sit down to do your most important work. You prove to yourself, I am not a slave to my appetites. I can be hungry and I can still function. I can still focus. I can still execute. These are not life hacks. This is resistance. You are applying a deliberate, chosen stressor to your system and forcing it to adapt. You are turning the thermostat of your baseline and turning it down degree by degree. The cold that used to be unbearable becomes normal. The hunger that used to be a crisis becomes a minor distraction. Then you take this principle from the physical to the mental. You stop seeking the easy way at all times. You deliberately choose the harder path. You have a choice. Take the elevator or take the stairs. The Forge says, take the stairs. You have a choice. Scroll through your phone or read the dense, difficult book. The Forge says, read the book. You have a choice: sit in silence or fill it with noise. The forge says, sit in silence. You have a choice: make the easy sale or make the difficult, ambitious call. The forge says, make the call. In every moment, you are presented with two paths: the path of resistance and the path of ease. And you must train yourself over and over to instinctively choose resistance. Why? Because that is where the growth is. The path of ease is a maintenance path. It leads to stagnation and atrophy. The path of resistance is the only path that builds the blade. This practice, this constant, low-level application of intentional hardship, culminates in one crucial technique. It is the hammer stroke that tempers the steel, making it truly unbreakable. It is the principle of the extra 10%. When you are in the forge and you have reached your perceived limit, you do one more. You are at the gym. You have finished your set of 10 reps. The saboteur says, you're done. That's the number. Put the weight down. Your muscles burn. You are tired. And in that moment, the commander, the voice of the forge, says, one more. And you do it. You are running. You have reached your goal of 3 miles. You are exhausted. The finish line is there. And the forge says, run one more block. And you do it. You are working. You have finished the report. You are ready to close the laptop. And the forge says, review it one more time. Make it 5% better. And you do it. That one more is everything. In that single, agonizing, voluntary moment, you are doing more to build your character than in all the comfortable moments of your life combined. You are teaching yourself in real time that your limits are lies. You are proving to yourself that your will has the final say, not your fatigue. This is how you forge the unbreakable. The result is that you change. You are no longer the soft iron. When involuntary hardship strikes, and it will strike, it is no longer a crisis. A crisis is simply the gap between an event and your ability to handle it. When you lose your job, you will not panic. Why? Because you have practiced being uncomfortable. You have faced the cold, the hunger, and the strain 1,000 times. This is just another, larger version of the same thing. You will not see it as an end. You will see it as a new resistance to train against. When you are insulted or betrayed or face public failure, you will not shatter. Why? Because your internal validation is no longer built on external comfort. It is built on the internal proof of your own discipline. It is built on the knowledge that you are the kind of person who can stand in the fire. The forge is not a destination. It is a daily practice. It is a new way of life. You stop asking, how can I make this easier? And you start asking, how can I use this to make me stronger? You stop seeing difficulty as a threat to your peace, and you start seeing it as the only path to your strength. The forge is always open. The fire is always burning. The hammer is always waiting. Resilience is not a gift. It is a verdict. It is the verdict you earn one more at. I'm sorry, I cannot fulfill this request. Chapter 6. The Alchemy of Perspective. What is the difference between an event and your experience of that event? Two people are caught in the same rainstorm. One looks up, curses the sky, feels the water as an injustice, and runs for cover in a state of irritation. Their day is ruined. The other stands for a moment, feels the same water, accepts its reality, and finds a sudden, quiet moment of clarity in the unexpected pattern of the drops. Their day is interrupted, but not diminished. The rain was a fact. It was neutral. The experience of the rain, however, was a choice. This is the most powerful and most overlooked human faculty. It is not what happens to you that defines your life. It is, and always will be, your interpretation of what happens. Your entire reality is being manufactured, second by second, by the lens through which you view the world. The problem is, you were given this lens. You did not choose it. It was ground and polished by your past, by your culture, by your fears, and by your saboteur. It is a lens that is designed to find threats, to spot injustice, and to create suffering. The unstoppable mind is not a mind that experiences a better, kinder, or easier world. It is a mind that has seized control of the lens. This is the art of frame control. It is the highest form of mental mastery. It is not about positive thinking. That is a fragile, shallow practice of painting over a broken foundation. This is active interpretation. This is alchemy. Alchemy was the mystical pursuit of turning base metals like lead into gold. The alchemist believed that within the substance of lead was the potential for gold. All that was required was the correct process, a process of purification, of fire, of transmutation. Your experiences are the lead. Your mind is the alchemist. Any event, no matter how negative, is just a base, raw material. A failure, a betrayal, an insult, an obstacle. These are all just lead. The average mind sees the lead and accepts it. It says, "This is bad," and it builds its reality around that judgment. It becomes heavy, dull, and toxic. The unstoppable mind sees the lead and sees potential. It knows it has the power to transmute that experience. It asks a different set of questions. It does not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" It asks, "What is this here to teach me? How can I use this? What is the opportunity hidden inside this obstacle? What part of me is this forcing me to strengthen?" This is not a denial of reality. This is a deeper engagement with it. It is the refusal to be a passive victim of your own interpretation. Let us begin with the most common piece of lead: failure. For the average mind, failure is a verdict. It is a final judgment. It is a validation of the saboteur's voice. When they fail, they internalize it. I am a failure. The event and the identity become one. The lead is accepted, and the person becomes heavier. The alchemist does not do this. They see the failure and immediately begin the transmutation. First, they depersonalize it. They separate the event from the identity. The process failed. The strategy failed. The attempt failed. I did not fail. I am the scientist who just gathered a crucial, non-negotiable piece of data. This single data point, this approach did not work, is pure gold. It is more valuable than success. Success often teaches you nothing. You may have just been lucky. Failure always teaches you, if you are willing to listen. The alchemist asks, what was the flawed assumption? Where was the gap in my knowledge? What is the one variable that, if I change it, produces a different result? The lead of failure is thus transmuted into the gold of feedback. You have not failed. You have simply paid for a lesson. And this lesson, which you learned through action and pain, is now a permanent part of your arsenal. It is a lesson the person who never tried will never learn. You have just lapped everyone who is still standing on the sidelines, afraid to get the data. Next, let us take the lead of insults and criticism. Someone challenges your character. They attack your work. They question your integrity. What is the common reaction? It is a physical one. The heart rate rises, the face flushes, the saboteur leaps to your defense. This is the primitive, tribal threat response. You are being attacked. The alchemist feels this, observes it, and overrides it. They refuse to let another person's words be the single defining frame. They apply the process. They ask, is there any truth here? This is the hardest question. The alchemist is brave enough to ask it. Perhaps the insult is 99% projection, jealousy, and ignorance. But what if there is 1% of truth? What if the delivery was poison, but the message contained a small piece of data you were blind to? The average mind, in its defensive rage, throws away the entire package. The alchemist, with a steady hand, sifts through the mud to find the single, tiny, microscopic piece of gold. They say, "Thank you for showing me this." They absorb that 1%, use it to refine their process, and discard the rest of the emotional, toxic sludge. The lead of criticism is thus transmuted into the gold of refinement. And what if there is zero truth? What if the attack is pure, unadulterated poison? The alchemist sees this too. And they ask a different question. What does this tell me about the attacker? They see the insult not as a reflection of their worth, but as a map of the other person's pain, insecurity, and fear. The attack is a confession. The lead of a personal attack is thus transmuted into the gold of perspective. You have learned something invaluable about human nature, and you have not, for 1 second, surrendered your own internal state to the chaos of another's. You remain in command. Finally, let us take the heaviest lead of all, the obstacle. This is the event itself. The project is canceled. The market crashes. The partner leaves. The diagnosis is bad. This is the thing that stops you. This is the wall in the middle of your path. The average mind sees the wall and it stops. The story ends. It is a tragedy. It's not fair. This is the end of the road. The lead is accepted. The alchemist sees the wall and knows the truth. The wall is the way. This is the ultimate transmutation. The alchemist understands that the obstacle is not in the path. The obstacle is the path. This challenge was not sent to you to stop you. It was sent to you to forge you. This is the next curriculum in your training. This is the universe presenting you with the exact resistance you need to develop the exact muscle you are missing. The project cancellation is forcing you to learn pivot and innovation. The market crash is forcing you to learn frugality and anti-fragility. The betrayal is forcing you to learn self-reliance and boundary setting. The lead of the obstacle is transmuted into the gold of purpose. This problem is your new assignment. It is the reason you are here. It is the forge from the last chapter presenting itself in the real world. You are not meant to go around it. You are meant to go through it. And in doing so, you will be transformed into the person who is capable of handling it. The obstacle is not a barrier. It is an invitation to evolve. This is the alchemy. It is a practice. It is not a passive belief. It is the active, moment-to-moment, conscious work of seizing the frame. It is the discipline of catching your first, negative, passive interpretation and challenging it. You will catch yourself saying, "This is a disaster," and the alchemist inside you will stop and ask, "Is it? Or is this a redirection? Is this a data point? Is this an opportunity?" You will catch yourself saying, "I am a failure," and the alchemist will intervene. "No, the attempt failed. You learned. What is the next experiment?" This is the power of frame control. When you master this, you become untouchable. Not because nothing bad ever happens to you, but because you get to decide what bad means. You get to decide the meaning of every single event in your life. The world can throw any substance at you. It can throw failure, criticism, betrayal, and loss. It can throw the heaviest, darkest, most toxic lead it can find. And it does not matter. You are the alchemist. You are in possession of the one power that makes you sovereign. You will take that lead. You will put it through your process. You will burn away the dross, and you will make gold. Every single time. Chapter 7. The Fortress of Focus. What is the single most valuable currency you possess? It is not your time. You can have thousands of hours of time and waste them all. It is not your money. It is not your talent. It is your attention. Your attention is the raw energy of your mind. It is the liquid light of your consciousness. Wherever your attention goes, your life goes. What you focus on is what you become. The quality of your attention dictates the quality of your work, your relationships, and your entire existence. And it is currently under siege. You are living through the single greatest, most well-funded assault on human attention in the history of the world. Every app, every notification, every algorithm, and every advertisement is part of a multi-trillion-dollar corporate war, and the objective is you. The prize is your focus. These systems are not designed to help you. They are designed to hook you. They are engineered by armies of behavioral psychologists to exploit your most primitive dopamine-seeking instincts. They are designed to fracture your concentration into 1,000 tiny useless pieces. And they are winning. The average person can no longer sit in silence for 5 minutes. They cannot read a book for an hour without a quick check of their device. They cannot have a conversation without a part of their mind being elsewhere. Their consciousness has been stolen from them, and they have, in exchange, been given a state of perpetual, low-grade distraction. This is the assault of the average. It is a mental fog, a digital haze that has settled over the world. It is a state of being always on and never present. In this state, you cannot build anything of value. You cannot think a deep, original thought. You cannot solve a complex problem. You cannot create a masterpiece. You cannot build an unstoppable mind. A fractured mind is a weak mind. A distracted mind is a controlled mind. It is a mind that is perpetually reacting to the agenda of others rather than acting on its own. To become unstoppable, you must reclaim this stolen territory. You must, with deliberate and ruthless intention, build a sanctuary for your mind. You must build a structure that is immune to the assault. You must build a fortress of focus. This is not a metaphor for trying harder. This is a literal architectural project. A fortress is not a feeling. It is a structure. It is a set act of engineering. It is a non-negotiable boundary. Its purpose is not to manage the enemy. Its purpose is to make the enemy irrelevant. The strength of any fortress is defined by its walls. The walls are your first and most important line of defense. The walls are what separate the sacred internal space of your focus from the chaotic external world of distraction. The average person has no walls. Their fortress is an open field. Any passing impulse, any random notification, any quick question from a colleague can wander right in, set up a tent, and take over. And so they spend their entire day fighting distractions. They try to use willpower to ignore the buzzing phone on their desk. They try to resist the urge to open the 50 tabs in their browser. They are in a constant, exhausting, and losing battle. You must stop fighting this battle. You must make it unnecessary. The unstoppable mind does not fight distraction. It engineers its removal. This is a physical act. You must build your walls. Your digital environment is the first target. Your phone is the primary weapon the enemy uses against you. You must disarm it. All notifications are to be turned off. All of them. The badges, the sounds, the banners. You must transform your phone from a master that summons you into a servant that you consult when you choose. Your home screen must be a utility, not a casino. Remove the social media apps, the news apps, the email apps. Bury them in a folder on the last page. Make it inconvenient to access them. You are adding friction back into the system, reversing the engineering that was used against you. Your computer is the next front. You must create a work environment that is only for work. Use different browsers for deep work and shallow browsing. Use apps and extensions that block distracting websites for you. You are not relying on your good intentions. You are automating your discipline. Your physical environment is the final wall. Your workspace must be a sanctuary, not a multi-purpose depot. It must be clean, it must be clear, it must be dedicated to one thing. When you sit at that desk, your brain must know from 1,000 repetitions that this is the place where only deep work happens. These are your walls. They are not optional. They are the non-negotiable prerequisite for focus. You are creating an environment where the easiest possible choice is the right choice. You are rigging the game in your own favor. Once the walls are built, you must control the gate. A fortress with a gate that is always open is not a fortress. The gate is your schedule. It is your ritual for entering and exiting the state of deep focus. The unstoppable mind does not wait for inspiration. It does not work when it feels like it. It commands its focus. It does this by creating time blocks. These are not just entries in a calendar. These are sacred, non-negotiable appointments with your own mind. You will set aside a 90-minute block. During this block, you are inside the fortress. The gate is closed. The world does not exist. You are not reachable. You are not available. You are in a meeting with your own progress. During this 90-minute session, you will do one thing. You will not multitask. Multitasking is a lie. It is the act of doing many things badly and succeeding at none of them. You will dedicate your entire undivided consciousness to a single high-value task. To enter this state, you must have a ritual. A ritual is a signal to your brain that the transition is happening. It is the act of closing the gate. It can be as simple as close all tabs, put on your headphones, set a timer, take a deep breath, and begin. This ritual, repeated daily, will train your mind like an animal. It will learn with astonishing speed that this is the cue. The moment the ritual is complete, the focus will come. The resistance you used to feel, the 20 minutes of warming up and procrastination, will vanish. You have trained your mind to drop into a state of deep concentration on command. The gate must also control your exit. When the 90-minute timer goes off, you stop. You open the gate. You take a real break. You walk away from the screen. You look out a window. You let your mind rest. This is not weakness. This is strategy. The mind that does not rest cannot focus. The walls are built. The gate is secure. But there is one final threat, the most insidious one. The enemy is already inside. These are the internal guards. This is your own mind. The internal saboteur, the architect of your defeat we spoke of earlier, hates this. Your primitive brain despises this sustained, unnatural state of focus. It wants its hits. It wants its novelty. It wants to wander, and it will. You will be 5 minutes into your deep work and a random thought will appear. Did I remember to send that email? I wonder what's for dinner. That thing that person said to me 3 years ago was really uncalled for. This is the internal distraction. This is the traitor within the walls. The average person believes the goal of focus is to prevent these thoughts. That is impossible. You are not a machine. The goal is not to stop the thoughts. The goal is to manage them. You must train your internal guards. The practice is simple. You must treat your wandering mind not with anger, but with the firm, gentle dispassion of a trainer. The thought appears. You do not engage it. You do not follow it down the rabbit hole. You do not get angry at yourself for having it. You simply notice it. Ah, a thought, a distraction. You label it. You have a distraction pad, a piece of paper next to you. If the thought is an action item, like send that email, you write it down on the pad to be dealt with after the session. You have removed it from your brain, externalized it, and thus robbed it of its power. And then, with zero drama and zero self-judgment, you return. You bring your attention back to the one task. This is the rep. This is the one more from the forge applied to your mind. The thought will return 10 seconds later. You will notice it. You will label it. You will return. It will return 5 seconds after that. You will notice. You will label. You will return. This is the real work. This is mental discipline. You are training your attentional muscle. You are training your internal guard to stand at its post, to not chase every noise in the bushes. This is the practice of single tasking. In a world that is obsessed with doing more, you will build your superpower by doing less, by doing one thing with such profound, world-ending totality that you master it. This is the fortress of focus. It is an engineered environment, not a feeling. It is a scheduled ritual, not a hope. And it is a trained internal discipline, not an accident. The person who can sit in a room alone for 2 hours and do one single important thing without distraction, that person is unstoppable. They will produce in those 2 hours what the fractured average person cannot produce in 2 weeks. They will learn skills faster. They will solve problems others deem impossible. They will operate with a clarity, a depth, and a power that is simply unavailable to the distracted mind. Your attention is your kingdom. For years, you have let it be overrun, pillaged, and occupied by foreign powers. Today, you build the walls. Today, you secure the gate. Today, you train the guards. Today, you take it back. Chapter 8. Master of the Storm. What is the most powerful force in your life? It is not your ambition. It is not your intellect. It is not your discipline. It is the sudden, blinding, and overwhelming power of your own emotion. It is the red wave of anger that rises in your throat, demanding you speak words you will later regret. It is the cold, sharp spike of fear that freezes you, paralyzes your will, and sends you retreating from an opportunity. It is the heavy fog of sadness that drains the color from the world and whispers that action is pointless. It is the sudden, uncontrollable surge of feeling that can, in a single, unguarded second, hijack your entire consciousness. In that moment, your vows, your identity, your carefully constructed plans, and your fortress of focus become irrelevant. You are no longer the commander. You are not the alchemist. You are not the master. You are the storm. Or, more accurately, you are a small, fragile boat tossed without mercy on a sea you cannot control. You are, in that moment, a slave. You are a slave to a chemical reaction, a biological impulse that is as ancient as your species. This is the great unaddressed vulnerability of the human condition. We can conquer the external world, build empires of steel and data, but we remain, until we make a conscious choice, utter victims of our own internal weather. The unstoppable mind refuses this condition. It understands that you cannot be truly unstoppable if your internal state can be seized by any passing emotional squall. This chapter is about emotional command. We are not talking about suppression. This is the fatal mistake of the novice. The person who, through sheer brute force, tries to crush their feelings, to deny them, to pretend they do not exist. This is not mastery. This is just a different kind of prison. An emotion that is suppressed does not die. It festers. It turns inward. It becomes a chronic anxiety, a dull depression, a sudden, inexplosive explosion of rage. A suppressed emotion is a bomb you have swallowed. We are also not talking about indulgence. This is the mistake of the modern world. The belief that I feel, therefore I am. The idea that every emotional impulse is a sacred truth that must be honored, expressed, and obeyed. This is just a more fashionable, enlightened form of slavery. To be led by every whim of your heart is to be a child, not a master. This is the false choice you have been given. Be a feeling person who is chaotic and reactive, or be a logical person who is cold, detached, and dead. Both are paths to weakness. The true path, the path of the master, is the third way. It is the way of integration. It is the understanding that emotions are not your enemy, but uncontrolled emotions are your master. The journey to mastery begins with the destruction of a single core lie. The lie is embedded in our very language. It is the lie you tell yourself every day. I am angry. I am sad. I am afraid. This is the great deception. You have fused your identity, the I, with the temporary, passing feeling. You have mistaken the weather for the sky. You are not angry. You are experiencing the sensation of anger. You are not sad. You are hosting the feeling of sadness. You are not afraid. You are observing the signal of fear. This is not just semantics. This is the single most profound shift in perspective you will ever make. It is the unfusing of your identity from your emotions. It is the act of creating space. Your emotions are not you. They are data. They are messengers. They are high-speed biochemical signals from your primitive brain delivered to your conscious mind. They are a report from the field. Anger is a messenger, knocking on your door to report a boundary has been crossed, a value has been violated, an injustice has occurred. Fear is a messenger, arriving breathlessly to report there is a potential threat. A danger, real or perceived, is on the horizon. Resources may be at risk. Sadness is a messenger, arriving quietly to report a loss has occurred. Something of value is gone. A period of recovery and reevaluation is needed. For your entire life, you have been reacting to the messengers. When the messenger of anger pounds on your door, you don't even open it. You just start shouting with it. You join its rage, you mimic its violence, and you burn down the house together. When the messenger of fear arrives, you don't even let it speak. You see its panicked face, and you run. You abandon your post. You obey the panic without ever stopping to read the report and see if the threat is even real. The unstoppable mind does not do this. The master does not react to the messenger. The master invites the messenger in, sits them down, and begins the interrogation. This is the practice. This is the how-to. When the wave comes, the red flush of rage, the cold grip of anxiety, your first and only priority is to create the pause. This is the space you have just created by unfusing your identity. In the moment between the stimulus, the insult, the event, and your reaction, you must insert a conscious breath. This is the moment of power. In this single second, you are reclaiming your will. You have paused. Now you observe and name. You do not become the storm. You become the observer of the storm. You become the scientist, watching the chemical reaction with a calm, detached curiosity. Ah, you say internally, this is fascinating. My heart rate is increasing. There is a tightness in my chest. My jaw is clenching. This is the physical sensation of rage. You name it. You label the specific emotion. This is jealousy. This is panic. This is shame. This is not a passive act. The moment you name the emotion, you are performing a miracle of neurology. You are actively shifting the energy in your brain from the reactive, primitive limbic system, the source of the emotion, to the conscious, logical prefrontal cortex, the seat of the master. You are in real time moving from reaction to command. You are grabbing the steering wheel. Now that you are in control, the interrogation begins. You ask the messenger, the emotion, why are you here? Anger, what is the specific boundary that was crossed? Fear, what is the specific threat you are perceiving? And is that threat real? Or is it an echo from the past? Is it a projection of a future catastrophe? Jealousy, what is the specific insecurity in me that you are here to highlight? You are digging for the data. You are listening to the report. Often, you will find the messenger is a liar. You will find the threat is an illusion. You will find the insult was a misunderstanding. And by simply exposing the emotion to the light of your conscious scrutiny, it dissolves. The messenger, having delivered its false report, simply leaves. But sometimes the report is true. The anger is justified. A core value was violated. The fear is real. There is a genuine risk. And now, the final, beautiful step. Having observed the sensation, named the emotion, and extracted the data, you, the master, choose the response. The emotion informs your decision, it does not make it. Your anger has reported a boundary violation. Your old self would have screamed. The master pauses, and from a place of calm, absolute power, the master acts. Perhaps the chosen response is a cold, precise, and unemotional statement. That is not acceptable, and it will not happen again. Perhaps the chosen response is to remove yourself from the situation. Perhaps the chosen response is to store this new data about a person and adjust your strategy. The action is chosen. It is deliberate. It is precise. It is effective. This is the eye of the storm. The storm of emotion is still swirling. The anger, the fear, it is still there. The biochemicals are still in your system. You are not denying the storm. You are simply at the center of it. The eye is a place of perfect calm, absolute stillness, and total clarity, while the winds rage around it. This is your new home. This is the internal state of the unstoppable mind. From this place, you cannot be manipulated. You cannot be triggered. You cannot be provoked into a mistake. A trigger is just an emotional impulse you have not yet mastered. It is a messenger you have not yet interrogated. The unstoppable person has, one by one, met every messenger, learned their names, and taken away their power to command. This is not a life without feeling. It is the opposite. It is a life where you are safe to feel everything. You can feel profound joy without it turning into manic, reckless action. You can feel profound grief without it turning into a permanent, dark identity. You can let the storms of life come in all their fury. You are not afraid of them. You are not afraid of the power of your own anger or the depth of your own sadness. You know that they are just weather. And you are not the weather. You are not the boat. You are not the storm. You are the eye. You are the stillness. You are the master. And from that unmoving center, you are in absolute command. Chapter 9. The Northern Star. Why are you doing any of this? This is not a rhetorical question. It is the most practical and most important question you will ever answer. You have learned to see your prison, to unmask your saboteur, and to make the irreversible decision. You have learned the craft of discipline, the necessity of the forge, the alchemy of perspective, the engineering of focus, and the mastery of the storm. You are building an arsenal. You are becoming a weapon. But a weapon without a target is just a dangerous piece of metal. A fortress without a king to defend is just a pile of stones. Discipline without direction is just stubbornness. Resilience without a reason is just masochism. An unstoppable mind without a purpose is a runaway engine tearing itself apart. You have built the how. Now you must define the why. For your entire life, you have been pushed. You have been pushed by fear. You have been pushed by insecurity. You have been pushed by the expectations of others. You have been pushed by the desire for comfort and the avoidance of pain. This is the pushed life. It is a life of reaction. The unstoppable mind is not pushed. It is pulled. It is pulled forward by a force so powerful, so clear, and so non-negotiable that it reorders your entire world. It is a single, fixed point of light in the dark. It is the force that gets you out of bed, not because your discipline is strong, but because your mission is. It is the force that makes you endure the forge, not because you enjoy the pain, but because the objective is worth the fire. This is your northern star. This is your why. It is the one singular answer to the question, what is this for? The northern star is not a goal. A goal is a destination. A goal is, I want to make $1 million, or I want to get a promotion. Goals are finite. You can achieve them. And the moment you do, you are left with a terrifying, hollow emptiness. What now? A northern star is not a goal. It is a direction. It is a purpose. It is a mission. It is, I will become a person of such profound self-mastery that I am a source of strength for others. It is, I will dedicate my life to building things that solve a problem I believe is intolerable. It is, I will be the living, breathing proof that one can come from nothing and create a life of absolute integrity and power. A northern star is a why that is so big you can never fully achieve it. It is an infinite game. And because it is infinite, it can never be finished. It can never be taken from you. It becomes the process itself. You must find this. You must. Without it, all the tools we have discussed are temporary. Your discipline will fail because when the pain of the forge becomes great enough, a mind without a why will always break. It will ask, why am I doing this? This is absurd. And it will have no answer. The person with a why, however, can bear almost any how. When the person with a powerful why is tired or cold or afraid, the question, why am I doing this, is not a moment of weakness. It is a moment of power. The alarm rings at 5 a.m. The saboteur asks, why are you doing this? And you answer, because I am building a new future for my family. The saboteur has no response. The mission is stronger than the comfort. You face the difficult, terrifying risk. The saboteur screams, don't, this is dangerous. And you answer, this is necessary to solve the problem I was put here to solve. The saboteur is silenced. The mission is stronger than the fear. You are insulted, criticized, and ridiculed. And you answer, your opinion is irrelevant. My mission is the only thing that matters. Your northern star is the ultimate frame. It is the alchemist's final formula. It casts a light that makes all trivial, short-term, and small-minded obstacles disappear. When your why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. The small things that used to derail you, the moods, the small comforts, the opinions of others, are rendered completely and totally irrelevant. They are like pebbles on a runway, and you are a jet engine. They do not matter. So, how do you find it? You do not think your way to a purpose. It is not an intellectual exercise. It is an act of excavation. It is already there. You have simply buried it under a lifetime of social conditioning, fear, and other people's priorities. To find it, you must ask the hard questions. You must find the quiet, get alone, and listen. The first question is, what infuriates me? This is not a search for anger, but for passion. What problem in the world, what injustice, what inefficiency, what form of suffering? What is it that when you see it, it makes your blood boil? What is the one thing you see and say, this is unacceptable? Often, your greatest purpose is hidden in your greatest point of anger. Your mission is the antidote to the thing you most despise, the apathy of others, the dishonesty of an industry, the wasted potential you see around you. This anger is a sign. It is a direction. The second question is, what would I do for free? What is the process, not the outcome, the process that when you are doing it, time melts away? What is the thing you are drawn to that you would pursue even if it brought you no money and no validation simply because the act of doing it aligns with something deep inside of you? This is a clue to your craft. The third question is, what is the pain I am willing to bear? This is the most important. Everyone wants to be a successful writer, but who is willing to bear the pain of 1,000 rejections, of sitting alone in a room for 4 years, of staring at a blank page? Everyone wants to be a world-class athlete, but who is willing to bear the pain of the 4 a.m. workouts, the boring diet, the constant ache? Your purpose is not found in the prize you want. It is found in the price you are willing to pay. What kind of suffering are you uniquely and perhaps even joyfully willing to endure? The answer to that question will reveal your why. Your northern star is the intersection of these three things: the problem that infuriates you, the process you are built for, the pain you are willing to endure. When these three align, you have found it. And once you have it, once you have that single clarifying sentence that defines your existence, you must do the final, most important thing. You must commit to it. You must write it down. You must place it where you will see it every single morning. You must make it the first thought of your day and the last thought of your night. This star becomes your ordering principle. From this moment on, every decision in your life is run through a new filter. Before you act, you ask one question: does this move me closer to my star or further away? Does this relationship move me closer? Does this job move me closer? Does this purchase move me closer? Does this thought, this action, this word move me closer? If the answer is yes, you do it, regardless of the pain. If the answer is no, you do not do it, regardless of the temptation. This is the end of decision fatigue. This is the end of confusion. Your life is now simplified. You are a vector. You are a straight line. You have a single, non-negotiable directive. The world will not understand this. The world is a place of scattered, diffused, and horizontal energy. You will become vertical. People will call you obsessed. They will call you extreme. They will tell you to lighten up and be more balanced. They are saying this because your clarity is a threat to their confusion. Your purpose is a blinding light that exposes their lack of it. You must ignore them. You must protect your why as you would protect your own heart, because it is your heart. This is the final key to the unstoppable mind. It is the thing that turns all the other tools from mere techniques into a destiny. The person with discipline may quit. The person with resilience may tire. The person with focus may grow bored. But the person who has aligned their entire, forged, and mastered mind with a why that is bigger than their own life, that person cannot be stopped. That person cannot be broken. That person cannot be beaten. Because you can knock them down, but you cannot knock down their star. It is fixed. It is permanent. It is eternal. And it is pulling them relentlessly towards the person they were always meant to be. Find your star. The rest is just execution. Chapter 10. The Unstoppable State. We have reached the end of this journey, but it is not a destination. There is no finish line. There is no certificate. There is no final cinematic moment where you are handed a trophy and the credits roll. The concept of making it is the final, most subtle lie of the old self. The unstoppable state is not a place you arrive. It is a person you are. It is not an outcome. It is an identity. For 10 chapters, we have been engaged in a process of deconstruction and a process of rebuilding. We have been the architect, the soldier, and the alchemist. We have torn down the prison, unmasked the saboteur, crossed the river, and waged the war. We have stood in the forge, built the fortress, and walked into the storm. We have done this not to collect a set of skills. We have done this to forge a new self. This is the great integration. This is the moment where all the pieces, the discipline, the perspective, the focus, the mastery, cease to be things you are practicing. They are no longer techniques you are applying. They have instead simply become you. What does this feel like? It is not a feeling of hype. It is not a constant, manic state of motivation. It is not a life free of problems or pain. The unstoppable state is, in its purest form, the absence of internal friction. That is the reward. For your entire life, you have lived in a state of civil war. You are a house divided against itself. A part of you wanted greatness. The other part wanted comfort. A part of you wanted discipline. The other part wanted indulgence. Your life was defined by that friction. The exhaustion, the guilt, the procrastination, the self-sabotage. That was the sound of the two warring parts of you grinding against each other. It was the sound of your potential burning away as useless heat. That war is over. Not because you won, but because you integrated. You have, through the conscious work, aligned your entire being in one direction. Your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your actions are no longer in conflict. They are one. They are a single, cohesive, unified force. When you speak, it is with the full authority of your entire being. There is no part of you hiding in the shadows that disagrees. When you act, you do so with total commitment. There is no internal debate. The should I and can I have been replaced by a simple I am. This is the life of alignment. The architect of your defeat, the saboteur, that voice, it has not gone away. It is part of your hardware, but it has been demoted. It is no longer a general. It is no longer an architect. It is a faint, predictable, and irrelevant noise in a distant room. You hear it, you may even nod at its familiar tired complaint, and you act anyway. Its power is broken. The glass prison is not a memory. It is a perspective. You still see the walls that confine others. You see the social blueprints, the comfort-seeking, the fear of failure. You see it all with perfect, piercing clarity. But the walls no longer apply to you. You are not outside the prison. You are simply the one person who knows with absolute certainty that the door is unlocked, and you walk as you please. The war within is no longer a war. It is just maintenance. It is the daily, simple, and non-emotional process of being who you are. Getting up at 5 a.m. is no longer a battle. It is just what you do. It is no different from brushing your teeth. It is a non-negotiable part of your identity. The drama is gone. This is the great secret. The unstoppable state is not dramatic. It is, in fact, remarkably calm. The forge is no longer a place of punishment. It is your workshop. You have rewired your entire being. You now associate resistance with growth. You no longer run from the difficult. You are drawn to it. You see a challenge, and the part of you that used to flinch, that part is gone. In its place is a quiet, calm curiosity. Here is the next thing. Let us begin. The alchemist's frame is no longer a tool. It is your eyesight. You do not try to see the opportunity in the obstacle. You simply do. You do not practice transmuting failure into feedback. It is an automatic process. An insult is data. A failure is a lesson. A disaster is a redirection. This is not positive thinking. It is functional thinking. The fortress of focus is not a place you visit. It is your home. You live there. The state of deep, concentrated, and productive work is no longer a rare event. It is your baseline. The distracted, fractured, and reactive state of the average mind, that now feels alien to you. You have become a creator by default, not a consumer. The storm? You are the eye. This is your permanent address. The world will still rage. People will still be chaotic. Events will still be unpredictable. And you will stand in the center of it, not with detachment, but with command. You will feel the anger, you will feel the fear, but they will not have you. They are messengers, and you are the master. You will act with precision while others react in panic. This calm is your new ultimate power. And finally, your northern star. It is no longer a light you are following. It has fused with you. It is your heartbeat. It is the engine. It is the why that fuels every single how. Because of this, your decisions are simple. You are no longer confused. You are no longer stuck. These are states of being that are impossible for you now. Your mission dictates all. You are a vector. You are a straight line. Does this move me closer to my star? Yes. Does this move me further away? No. Your life, which was once a chaotic, tangled, and complex web of compromises, is now simple. It is pure. It is powerful. This is the identity you have earned. This is not an end. This is the beginning. You have spent your entire life preparing for this moment. Your old life, the life of the prisoner, the life of the slave to impulse. That was the training. That was the preface. Today, the real book begins. Today, you are no longer the person who wants to be unstoppable. You are no longer the person learning to be unstoppable. Today, you simply are. The contract is fulfilled. The vow is made manifest. You are the person you were always meant to be. Now, go and live it.